Are you ready?
You ready? I'm ready.
Oh my goodness.
Well, all right. Welcome back, everybody. It has been quite some time since I have been able to sit down and do some YouTube videos due to work, and a lot of stuff came up in between. I think my last dedicated video was probably more recently than I think, but that was a quick rushed video. The last time I actually did some polished YouTube content was probably before COVID in 2020. So it's been some time. Given that time, though, we've acquired a lot of gear. We've shot a lot. We've traveled a lot of places as well with said gear. Some of it is fantastic. Some of it is just okay. Some of it fell short a little bit. But we are going to discuss today the optics that I use on my guns. And I have a lot. And the reason why I wanted to do this video today was because tomorrow we're going to be picking up an optic that doesn't align with the rest of the bunch. In fact, I have one already that doesn't align, so he's gonna have a little brother. A little different in the optics platform because we're moving from open emitters to enclosed emitters. We're moving pretty fast. So I just kind of want to start from the beginning of where we started with this whole project. I got into firearms a lot more, I want to say around 2010 to 2012. I really started getting into handguns a lot more. Before I was very rifle focused. I was in the military prior to that. So fast forward to today, primary weapon, definitely it's going to be a handgun. We do still have rifles. We still have shotguns. That whole thing is still in the game. But for the most part, our weekly focus is going to be handguns and the applications of those. That being said, we're fast forward to optics. Optics is more the recent thing that I've been working on for the last probably 5 to 8 years, because there's been an evolution, right? The whole big cheese, the start of it all was the Trijicon RMR. Give that a couple years. Fast forward to the SROs. Give that a couple years. Did some pretty heavy training at Gunsight. Really got to see some optics fail. Some optics do really well. Some optics make it pretty good. So we just kind of want to cover those in between and kind of what is the contender that's beating it all right now. So I'm going to switch camera angles and we'll cover open emitters first before we get into the enclosed stuff. Here we go. Okay, now that we went ahead and switched our camera angles, let's talk a little bit more about what we're working with here. So I have 4 Trijicon optics on the table right now. That doesn't mean it's the totality of the optics. I have removed some of the RMRs to put them on one in particular, a Beretta 1301 shotgun, and I have another RMR with the fiber optic window on a Glock 20, which is a 10 millimeter, and I still have that in the safe. I just didn't go grab it, and I really don't need it because I don't want to mess with what we're working with here. So in total, I have 4 RMRs and 2 SROs, and I have a couple MROs on some longer guns. But let's start with the RMRs. Let's move these out to the side real quick. All right, and then for you FUD range master guys that have to ensure that guns are clear, these guns are clear. Okay, now these 2 guns, you're going to notice one thing first. Number one, obviously they're 1911s. Okay, this one's a Wilson Combat. This is a Springfield Range Officer. Now, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Well, first off, both of these are on my CCW. So I've carried them for quite some time. Obviously, living behind enemy lines, we can only work with what the parameters that we have so far legally. So here's where we are. Where do we begin? So we're covering optics. When I went to Gunsight the second time for Gunsight 350, there was a guy that had I believe it was a hollow sun, and it was the open emitter kind. And we were rolling in the mud, we were rolling in rain, light rain. It wasn't heavy rain, but it was still rain nonetheless. And as much as we were out in the elements, the open emitters ended up getting a little bit of water in them. And it was, actually, no, I stand corrected. It actually was an RMR, just like the ones, these two here you have listed. And so my buddy, who is actually the one that had the optic, a little droplet of water got in, and the gunsmith basically recommended one of two things at gunsight. He could either A, just take it off, send it back, or B, maybe pop it in the oven at a low temperature for just a little bit, just to see if it would vaporize the droplet that was on the diode, or the laser diode, whatever it is, that's inside the RMR. So what happened was the optic essentially started to look like a bunch of little stars that were on the lens, okay? When you look at the lens of the RMR, you should particularly see a one fixed dot. In this particular instance, with this optic in particular, it looked like a star pattern. Like it was just huge. It was everywhere. Dots all over the glass. You couldn't really pick up which was which. And we fired it, of course. And that, in and of itself, did not give enough energy to throw the water off of the diode. Now, generally they could say, shake it off, whatever, keep going, it's going to eventually dry off. In this particular case, it did not. So he had to switch to a backup gun, which coincidentally was a hollow sun optic. Finished out the course with that pistol, and out to the races he went. He ended up sending it back and getting a new one, and that's fine. That got replaced. But this is where we began, right? The Trijicon RMRs. That was our starting point. So let's put these aside. And where are we at now more recently? Okay, moving on to the SRO. Okay, both of these again on my CCW. And both of these are clear. Also, for you nerds that will start screaming in the comments about clearing guns. All right, so we ran this gun in the gun sight course as well. Performed extremely well. Gave you a much larger window to work with, and it was great because having a lot more training and speed acquisition with this dot made it super easy to work with when I was at the course as well. And I would say for me personally, in real-time applications, the SRO is probably the greatest option for looking through your optic, staying target focused, and ensuring that your dot essentially stays covered in your target. You don't want to screw that up. This particular one I'm pretty fond of. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but this is the pistol that I have tattooed on my arm with my beautiful wife on the side. So yeah, this is one of the guns I run. You can see it's got lint on it from how I carry it. It's almost always entirely concealed. So I should probably give this gun a little wipe down here now that I look at it under this lighting and take care of it a little bit more. But so now that we're talking on the optics end of things, and you can see that there's lint on it and stuff, the window stays almost entirely clear. Okay, there's no obstruction. It's also slanted. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with how clean the optic's going to look, but nonetheless, it's stayed clear and free of any debris or obstruction or anything like that. Okay. Same thing for the Glock. This Glock is generally, I use it for the few times I have to do security detail. It's just kind of the utilitarian do-all pistol. This pistol is obviously probably neck and neck with the 1911 as far as firearms that are consistently carried by people that are working, carrying firearms on a given day. And yeah, the Glock 19 pretty much does it all. You see it's got a little bit of wear and damage on it. During the course, you beat it up, right? When you're at gun sight, you're going to run the gun the way you're going to fight with it. So yeah, run it as you need to. This is newer. Okay, I got the Align tactical pedal on this. This was just a little bit to help with the Glock tilt that I got to do. So because I'm used to shooting 1911s, I draw the gun and I got to tilt just to make sure that I get the right alignment. It's just my thing. I don't know, other people may have to do it as well. But in particular, the 19, I have to do that. 17 for sure. But anyways, ran these in the course fine. Didn't necessarily want to be worried about debris falling in. I didn't particularly have any problems with it. But I like these more for work purposes. This gun I haven't carried on when I do security work. This gun I have. This gun is just a little bit more emotionally involved for me. I started learning shooting firearms with Berettas. That was my grandpa and my uncles had. So that's what I started on. And as time moved on, we got some other parts to upgrade the pistol. This isn't particularly a family heirloom. I actually found the gun in a bargain bin. And I did a lot of the upgrades from there. Which, keep this in the back of your head, because at the end of this video, I'll talk about what's coming up next for my Beretta lineup. I think I'm going to start collecting Berettas. I'm a huge fan of Bill Wilson. So this particular gun has the Wilson Combat Guts, the springs inside. Wilson Combat Grips. The top part is Langdon though. So the Langdon slide, or the slide came from Langdon Tactical. See, it's got the LTT stamp. I was initially going to throw an RMR on here, but I figured, you know what, I really like the size of the open window. So we're going to stay with that. So we ran with an open window. But anyways, I digress again. Anyways, I love this pistol. I work with this pistol. This is kind of one of those guns that I'm willing to, if I have to use it in a self-defense application, I'm okay with it going to the locker in evidence for a while, and I don't have to see it for quite some time. But I just want you guys to know that I do carry these pistols. As you can see, they do have, some dirt on them. And as much as I would like to keep them clean just from normal use and cycling the guns in and out, depending on the application I'm using, things are going to get a little bit overlooked. So we'll work on a little bit more maintenance later. Heck, maybe we'll make a video of that. A little spitballing video just to shoot the shit and clean some guns. But yeah, so RMRs and SROs, great optics, but they are vulnerable for debris. Okay, so I'll bring them out all together one more time. All of these have the opportunity to get something in them to cause the emitter to potentially fail, whether it's water, whether it's sand, anything in between. We don't want to ruin our optics. We want to make sure that we have enclosed stuff that we can use in all elements. So let me pause the video again. I'll swap these out and I'll bring out the enclosed guys. Okay, now we get to talk about the enclosed goodies. So let's talk acros. We got acro P1s and we got acro P2s. And really, what are the difference between the two? Well, the P2 is obviously the most popular of the bunch. They don't even make the P1s anymore. The P1 and the P2 window are pretty much identical. Okay, they're pretty much identical. One isn't necessarily larger than the other. They're pretty much the same. The dot appears the same. The glass appears the same. Everything for the most part appears the same. What is going to be different though is the left side wall, the right side wall, obviously, and the battery. This battery will shit on you in a couple months. This battery has stayed on consistently for quite some time, and it will because it's rated at 50,000 hours. 50. This one's rated at 15,000 hours. 15. It's still on now. It's been on for a couple months, give or take. I don't believe there's a shake awake option. They just stay on, if I understand correctly. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, so these two guns, this one's purely for fun. I rarely use this one. I only use it when I want to do some some fun competition like stuff, which is not that often. So don't even hold your breath. That one's not going to be on the TV that much, or on the channel, I should say. This particular gun was originally cut for a Trijicon RMR. I don't know if you see, but I had a, I was able to find through Strike Industries, they make a plate right here that fits the, let me see if I have a pen right here. This plate in particular fits the gap where the Trijicon RMR would sit at normally, because I had the slide milled specifically for the RMR. It fits the RMR footprint, and then it provides you the ledge so that the acro can bite down and be installed properly. So you still have your regular RMR bolts and screws that go in there. You still have the little dimples that are up front and whatever. But now you can replace it with an acro. So Strike Industries probably figured at some point, hey, you know what? We're going to be working with acros a lot more, but for those guys that already had their slides milled, we need to have a retrofit, and this is the retrofit. So go to Strike Industries if you have an RMR now and you want to throw an acro on the same slide. Okay, this slide in particular, like I said, I haven't needed to swap it out for any other reason other than the optic, and you can see it still fits pretty darn flush, right? These are the Strike Industries backup sights, and I still get nope, scratch that, I don't get any co-witness on here. So this is purely either just decorative, or you can use it to rack it off of things. Do I want taller sights? No, actually I don't. I really appreciate not having backup integrated sights. I don't know, it's just me. Some people will probably blow a gasket and they'll be like, dude, like, no, you totally need to have backup optics in case that battery fails. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Or I could just change the battery once a year. Not a big deal. And I'm not even going to sit here and tell you, oh, I changed it on my birthdays, because I honestly just, hey, maybe I need to change these batteries out. It's been a while. So I will. I'll do that at that time. This particular gun also I built for competition, but I didn't necessarily compete with it yet. I still haven't done so. A lot of this is time pending based on my work schedule and if I can get it in and out of there. This particular gun is a Red Bull gun. It's got an insanely good trigger on it. Like, I can't even tell you how good this trigger is on the Glock. Like, it's just so clear. It's just so crisp. It's really good. You got an agency barrel. I went with the Brownell's acro cut slide. So this is particularly built for the acro itself. I haven't decided which sights to put on yet, if I need backup sights. I mean, considering I'm probably only going to use it for range purposes, flat range purposes, I may not necessarily do that. I may not get the backup sights, but I'm not sure yet. I have some backup Trijicons that I haven't used yet. I don't know if necessarily I want to do that on this particular gun. Again, all speculative at this point, so I haven't decided yet. But, so, kind of wrapping up where we are now, the enclosed emitters, okay, I don't necessarily want to worry about fogging. I don't want to worry about lint. I don't want to worry about dust. I don't want to worry about anything else in between. I just want the optic to run, right? This is the one time where optics are now, for the most part, 100% reliable. Right, as long as you keep up on your batteries and you do the parts that you're supposed to, the optic is going to work. Okay. That being said, do I feel that the Acro P1 isn't as worth as much as these? No, of course, it's still a great optic. Just got to keep an eye on the levels that you're using, making sure it's not too bright, making sure when you store it, you turn it down. Okay, turn the optic down so that you can save the battery if not, they're not going to shut off. But aside from that, Acro P2 is basically the way to go. Okay. But I'm about to throw a monkey wrench into that equation, right? Because we are moving into new territory. I wanted to show you guys that I support the American companies first. And then I wanted to show you guys that I supported the Swiss company second. But where are we today? where are we today? We are moving into all new territory with the HoloSuns. Oh yeah, the HoloSuns. Oh my god. Chinese optics, Chinese optics, Chinese optics. My. I'm very late in adopting this process. Very late, okay? I'm talking like super late. But the biggest reason was because I wanted to make sure that I supported American companies before I got down and started supporting some other stuff. And not only that, these optics, these EPS carries and the enclosed emitters from HoloSun have really proven themselves on the flat range and in a few law enforcement capacities that they are being adopted pretty rapidly. Probably more quickly than Trijicon and Aimpoint would like to admit, but the price point on this is not that far off from the price point on these, right? You can't, I mean, technically you could put an acro on this. It would look hella goofy. Okay? So the EPS carry in and of itself looks great. It's super lightweight. It's super comfortable. The dot is very clear. I can't say it's clearer or worse than a Trijicon optic. I just know that it looks very clear when I look down it when I need it. And I probably have somewhere in the ballpark of 500 to 700 rounds with this particular optic on already. Got it on at the beginning of the year. I shoot every Sunday, so experience-wise is coming up fairly quick. That being said, it's also functioned really well, given that it's a short slide. It takes a lot of abuse. Hasn't flickered, hasn't really gone loose. I should probably mark these screws just to see if there's any walking on it. And we'll get there. You know, we'll get to that point. We'll check that out as well. But otherwise, I cannot recommend this EPS carry enough. Really like it. I would probably get another one. I have a Glock 48 that needs an optic. So I'm going to have to work on getting another one of these and then get the 48 cut to fit the EPS footprint. But yeah, so if you guys are looking for a subcompact optic, this is going to be the way to go. So this is kind of the forefront too of why I chose the EPS carry instead of the RMR CC. There was a point where Trijicon was struggling to sell the CC. They were giving rebates on it. People were, you know, kind of upset about the price that it came out at. I think it came out at almost $7 when it first launched. Like, holy cow, for a tiny optic. And the window is nowhere the size of this one. This window is dramatically bigger than the RMR CC. Again, I don't have a side-by-side comparison because I didn't even blink at it. I didn't even blink at the RMR CC when they were offering the $300 rebate for it. So it was basically almost 50% off, right? Maybe even a little bit more depending on where you found it at. But I didn't even bother with it. This gun is definitely my 2024 choice of carry so far. It's just so damn compact. I think the 365 is easily going to topple the Glock 19 very, very quickly. You can do a side-by-side on this, right? You can just see how much thinner it is, okay? If I go rear optic to rear optic, you see the difference in the slide length, okay? This holds 15 rounds. This also holds 15 rounds. So it just depends on what you want to work with. Optics-wise, much fatter slide, wider slide. So yeah, we can put the bigger optic on it. Thinner slide, yeah, we got to consolidate a little bit on the size. But nonetheless, great optic. Both of them are still fine. This one is definitely, I think, going to outperform this one, especially on the 1 in a million chance that you probably get stuck in the rain, or you are in a cooler environment and go outside to a warmer environment and then your lenses fog up, which so far I don't think has happened to either of these, but people complain that it magically happens to them. So I don't know. But living in SoCal, it's pretty dry here for the most part. I live by the beach. Haven't had really much fog or any water density issues. No rust issues with either of the guns. So I think we're pretty okay for the most part. The lights, can't recommend Stream lights enough. I think they're a far better price point for the value than the Surefire X300 series, which you guys know I have a couple of those as well. because I had them on the 2 bigger guns, right? So that's a lot of cheddar just for a light. Sure, the lights are going to work, and yes, the lights are definitely durable and ruggedized, but I don't think you necessarily need them unless you're spending, a government credit card, or you're going to get reimbursed by your employer. Then by all means, buy the bigger, buy the higher priced flashlight. But overall, I think we're going to be entertaining Holosun a little bit more. I'm eating my own words saying that because I was vehement on supporting the American optics company market. And then I stepped it up a little bit more with the Swiss market with the Acros. But I got a gun that's coming up. It's going to be quite the unicorn. We are definitely going to get into the weeds on that new pistol coming up. For those of you that I told that remembered, I said, hey, stick around because we're going to talk about this gun a little bit more. What we're going to talk about soon is the Beretta 96. Okay, this is the 92, but we are going to be talking about the Beretta 96. So we're going to pick that up tomorrow. This will have its bigger brother. The Beretta 96 is a 40. So we're going to be talking about 40 Smith & Wesson compared to the 9mm, why you might want it, why you might want to ditch it. But in the grand scheme of things, we're blessed and we have options, right? A 9mm isn't always going to work for every single application. Sometimes you might want to step it up to a 40, and then, given the climate and opportunity, you may need a 45. So we have options, and if a 45 can't take care of it, we have a 10mm option as well. And that's kind of where I cut it, because at that point we're going to start getting into revolver cartridges, and that's its own rabbit hole that I don't want to entertain going down again, because I had some pretty big wheel guns, and man, revolver ammo is expensive nowadays. So with that, I'm going to leave you a little bit on a cliffhanger. We're going to talk more about Berettas on our next video because they're my favorite gun. And favorite is kind of a hard word to say because I love these guns. I love 1911s. 1911s are definitely a close second, if not probably equal to the Berettas. But man, do I love some Wilson Combats. And one thing that I think is kind of funny is that I have a 9mm Wilson Combat. I have a 45 Wilson Combat also, but I can't seem to cut it for an optic. It's not necessarily a price issue, because I can easily send it to the spot that I usually get it done, and it's the plate and it's the optic. It's about a $700 to $800 commitment once you're all said and done to put an optic on a gun that was not already pre-cut for that. So choose wisely if you're going to go into this project, and then more importantly, make sure you're going to commit with that gun and you're going to use it and run it for what it's for. Hopefully you don't just throw it in the safe and forget about it, or not even forget about it, but just bring it out on special occasions. This is a working gun, okay? Probably the most expensive working gun I have, but nonetheless a working gun. If it came to what would I choose? I don't know. It's tough options, but I got options, and I'm blessed for that. So anyways, thanks for listening to me rant about optics. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be cooking up a lot more content, hopefully over the summer when things slow down for me. So I'm excited for this. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.